Got it. Okay. Hey, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Does anybody else feel like they don't know what day it is today besides me? My days are so off. All of this for some reason. I wasn't prepared to be full back swing today.
I
Like
never know what day
golly.
it is.
Stacy, I'm like it. I don't either. And sorry, I really want this background, but if I tilt my head just a tiny bit, I look I look bald because I have a headband on today. So hopefully you guys will just see the screen and not me. Okay, I have a good industry update for you guys today. Thanks for making the time to be on. And I'm gonna hope that I get through it. Let's see, play from start. Here we go. I'm gonna hope that I can get through all of it because I have some really good info at the end for some examples. So the theme of today was really future proofing your business. And I likely am not going to tell you anything new. Well, that's a lie. I am going to give you a really great one pager. Oopsie, that you can use that Gary sent out. I got really lucky and got all of the stuff that Gary shared with his top, I think it's maybe 200 now, but agents in the company, which I believe the GCI for that is up to 11718 is the minimum to qualify into the group now. And there was a really great sheet that I wanted to share with you guys. And then I also wanted to update you on the stats. And then I have some really great examples to give you at the end. So I'm hopeful that I'll be able to actually get through everything. And then yeah, so we'll go for it. So just to start on some of the things that we always start on, the reason why I like to do these is because it gives you actual perspective. And what perspective does is it gives you hope. So perspective should always come from data, experiences, and then the past, so that you can use the past as a predictor for the future. So making sure that you have really great perspective, not only you guys for yourselves in this market and in this industry, but also for you to be able to pass along to your clients. It's just interesting. I was actually talking with my personal banker this morning via text because we just closed on some or we're in the process of finishing up some rental properties that we've been building in Kentucky. And we actually locked in not at a great rate, but 5.25 on commercial, which is actually really pretty good, to be honest, but only for 5 years. And so I was talking with her through some of the options. And we got off the phone and I told Adam, I said, I feel like people still are so uneasy about the market and just investing and where they should spend their money. So the goal is that I'm going to give you perspective so that you can give your clients. I always like to start with this because things change so quickly. So for those of you that can, will you type in the chat just your location and how's your market today? I really like to read through those. Because it's changing so fast. So would love to hear where you guys are from and how you are. Todd, yeah, I know. So I think Columbus, most of you guys would still say you're very busy, right? Yep. Karen, very busy. Chattanooga, busy. Yep. Busy. Todd, good. Yeah. Wondering if anybody's seeing a slowdown. Yeah, Andrew, steady. I would agree with Kentucky is steady. Yeah, pretty busy. Sacramento. Yep, I'm anxious to see busy under 650, slower in luxury, but still moving. Yeah, totally. Steady, busy in Indy. Yep. Okay. So we're still pretty much feeling like a steady to busy, which is good. And what everyone predicted up until about September, when we likely will probably hit a slowdown, and that's for several reasons. But these are the magic numbers. Chris, yeah, slower on listings. A lot of people are saying that. These are the magic numbers that you need to know. So jot these down as we go through the slides so that you know what to look for. 2246, if you can just remember that, the main things that play are GDP, that have a play in our industry are GDP, inflation, appreciation, real estate appreciation, and unemployment. And we want to keep those at 2246. When those numbers are good, like we're smooth and we're rolling. When it's not, we're very out of whack and we have a problem. So this bottom part, I just keep copying and pasting the slide. So I need to delete some of this because this was old, but the 2246 is what you need to know. If we can keep our GDP right around 2%, inflation at 2%, which we know it's not, appreciation around 4% and unemployment below 6%, then we're good. Right now, I don't know if I have a slide on this or not, but right now we're not really seeing any national appreciation whatsoever. For those of you in my market centers, I shared that in our top 20% masterminds last week. But we're pretty flat. We're not really seeing any national appreciation right now. We've seen a lot, obviously, up to 21% over the last 3 years. But I'm just going to run through some of these updated slides that just came out for May. So this should get you the most current data that there is. So unemployment right now, we're right at about, for the end of this is annual, for the end of 2022, 3.6, but this will give you a more up to date. So as of April, unemployment is right about 3.4. And remember, if we go back, we want it to be below 6. So we're good on unemployment right now. This is a new slide that I honestly hadn't seen, and I found this pretty fascinating. If you look, the orange line are job openings in the millions, and then the kind of tealish green is actually the number of unemployed people in the millions. So if you go back, this is insane. If you go back and look at January 20, kind of when the world quit, we had nearly 20 million people, nearly 21 million people unemployed. And then just fast forward 3 years forward, and now we're right at 5.84 million unemployed and 9.59 million job openings. One interesting thing I did want to say to this, and this is how sick my family and friends are, because at Memorial Day cookout last night at our house, we were all talking about this at one point. I was talking about the Tony Robbins, the Ed Milet Tony Robbins podcast episode. It's been a couple months back, and it's the last time he interviewed Tony Robbins. And he shared, I think I've shared this before on here, but he shares on there over the next 5 years how many millions of people will be unemployed because of artificial intelligence taking over their job. So the difference between something that AI can do versus something that a human has to do. And it was ironic because in the podcast, he shared some research and talked about Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, taxi cab drivers, and actually semi-truck drivers. There's about 5 million of them employed in those 4 categories right now in the United States, and saying that somewhere between 5 to 7 years that those will all be taken over from like computerized drivers, I guess, which is really crazy to think about. But the purpose of him talking about that was actually how many people would be left without a job, and how right now it's not even necessarily our physical labor. It's more of like your mind and your tech skills and all those things, your relationship skills that are in demand. If we move towards GDP, you'll see right now we are still at a little bit of a low-ish number. Q1 in 2023 ended right at 1.1. You'll still see what is deemed a recession. Back in 22 was when we had 2 quarters back to back of a negative GDP. So that's not happening right now, which is a good thing, but still definitely lower than what it has been in the last couple of quarters. Inflation, the thing everybody talks about, which is interesting to me also. I shared this as well in the top 20%, but for those of you that didn't hear this or need a repeat of it, when we can get rates to hang out around that 5.5, like consistently, is when typically our clients, buyers, and both buyers and sellers will come back to the market and say, okay, this is the new norm. Like, we're ready to sell, we're ready to buy. For those that are waiting, there's still some that are like, they're way too high, I'm not doing anything in the 7s and 8s. So making sure that you're really giving them perspective, and I'll get to that in a minute. But right now we are right at about 6.4% of inflation. And remember, I'm going to go back really quick. We want that to be right at that 2% mark. In our magic numbers, 2246. So if you're looking, we're still high, right? And they're really projecting that to not be back in alignment until probably about the middle-ish of 2024 to end of 2024. So we still have about another year before that's gonna, maybe a year and a half before that could, before it's predicted to kind of course correct and things to not be so cheap. They do, I mean, it's so expensive to get more back in line. They do break this down on here when it includes energy and food, and when you exclude energy and food. Gas and food are like the two main things that, when inflation is really high, tend to kind of make the poor poorer, for lack of better words. Inflation monthly, as you can see right now, in April, again, I think we're pretty close back to that 6 now, but in April we were right at the end of April 4.9, and then 5.5 excluding energy and food. So still higher than what we would like to see. And they'll keep that number until well, as that's what will drive the rates. So while people are still spending money, they'll keep hiking the rates until people stop spending money. So we need that to average back to 5.5% on the rates in order for people to feel good. These are the home sales annually. This is not a new slide, but I'll show you the new one on the next page. But I do want you to still pay attention to between 02 and 06, about 32 million total sales during that time. And then between 18 and 21, 22, we had about 27 million. So very similar time frames. The biggest difference, actually, let me ask it as a question just for fun. Does anybody know the biggest difference as of to why those sales came to such a recession then compared to today? Why we won't enter, well, we'll have a shift, but we won't enter into such a recession as last time. Anybody want to take a stab at what people have now that they didn't have then? Slower on listings. Oh, Chris said that. Sorry. No, equity. Ding, ding, ding. Yes, equity is correct. Great job. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm so proud. Okay, awesome. Yep, great job. Equity. Everybody has equity right now, which is our big saving grace that people did not have in the 04, 06 timeframe. So here are home sales monthly. This is not, April has not been updated yet nationally for this, but March, you wouldn't have March's number. And so what I want you to pay attention to is the blue is 2022, the orangish yellow color is 2023. So you can see that we are trending down. If you go back to this slide, we closed 2022 with right about 5 million homes sold. They're still projecting honestly, they're still projecting somewhere between 4.2 and 4.5 million to close out in 2023. So we'll see a drastic difference, and especially compared to 2021, which is what most people are still comparing their businesses to, is how things were in 2021, which is when we sold 6.1 million. So everybody's going to have to do a mindset adjustment on that from the last 2 years into where this year's going to be, especially because many of you guys put in the chat, you're still busy, you're still very steady. You're still moving things pretty quickly, but the numbers don't lie, and that's what I really want you guys to focus on and pay attention to. On the next slide, you'll see home prices annually. If you look back, remember I told you guys right now, we're really not seeing any national appreciation as much like right now this quarter. But if you look back in 06, right, we were 21% above the trend line. If you look back in 2022, just last year, we were still 12% above the trend line. So right now we're still a smidge over. So 2023 projected is projected to end this year around 382,000 annual average. If we were from the above, if you go by the long-term trend line of 4%, that would have us at 357. So as you can see from here, we're still trending a little bit higher. And so it'll be interesting to see how that breaks down towards the end of the year. Chris said in 2008 we had 15,000 homes for sale in 2000 in Columbus. Yeah, in 2022 3,000 and 3,000 sold. Yeah, inventory definitely has a lot to do with it. Chris, you're exactly right. Totally true. Here's your home prices monthly. So blue is 2021, the teal is 2022, and then the purplish color is 2023. And don't have April yet on this, but you will see March. So you can see pretty close to last year, honestly. January, we were a little bit higher. February, pretty much exactly the same. And then, I mean, very close to the same in March too, which is interesting, you all, because if you follow a lot of the experts and including what Gary has said, September is when we could see these numbers drastically change. And when we could go back and see the home sales drastically change to kind of fall off a cliff. And there's a lot of reasons why on that we'll get into if we have time. Here's your inventory. So Chris, this kind of goes along with what you said. Yes, Mackenzie changed down. Yeah, definitely changing downward. And there could be several things that are playing into that. Just not to squirrel too much, but the two big things that could come into play, which and I think I have a little bit of this on one slide, but some of you may or may not follow this. I know we've talked a lot about on these monthly industry updates, the student loans, how many of you are seeing, and nationally, we're all seeing first-time home buyers are drastically down. All of the massive millions and millions and millions of dollars, it might even be in the billions, I don't know the last number, but of student loan debt that's been deferred for the last 3 years. They're voting on that, getting ready to start to come back, where people are going to have to at least make partial payments. So that's going to be a big to do with it, because one, it's decreasing the amount of first-time home buyers, right? Because their debt to income ratios are way too out of whack, because we've never had student loan debt this high ever in our nation's country. And then two, what that's forcing them to do is move back in with their parents, most of them, which is then pressing on the parents. And if you remember from 2 months ago, I shared slides that KW research team shared around student loan debt and medical being the two largest spikes right now in expenses in our country. And Gary kind of, bluntly said, if you're elderly and you're not in good health and you have kids in college at the same time, you're screwed, because they're totally out of whack. Jake said, I understand how student loan repayment coming back into effect will disrupt the industry, but also wonder if it will help with inflation and interest rates by getting money out of circulation. Jake, it could. And actually, I think I may have a slide on that. We'll keep going here and I'll hit that. The second thing I didn't tell you guys other than the student loan is this whole BRICS, the currency stuff, which is like honestly a little over my head, and it's a lot to follow and spiral down. But that does come into play. And it could change things for us, meaning that we could see another spike in rates towards September, October, upwards of the 7-8%. And if that's the case, it'll drastically slow things down. And the other thing too, you guys, this is just a Dana thing. And I have read this on from a lot of economist blogs that I've been following. Yes, yeah, Antoinette, thank you. Yep, BRICS. Is that right now, if you think about it, we have not experienced the normal real estate seasonality over the last 3 years. So, and I shared this also with my market centers last week, but think about it this way. If you've been in the business longer than say 5 years, you know what it's like to have a spring market. You know what it's like to have a normal slowdown when people are going back to when people are vacationing in July. You know what it's like to then get a kick back up and it gets busier again, and then it slows down from November. We haven't, through Christmas, we haven't really we've been in such a speed-based market that we really, honestly, we haven't had a true real estate seasonality over the last couple of years. If you've been in the business long enough and you agree with that, I'd love for you to let me know in the chat. But we are going to get back to normal, kind of just regular real estate seasonality. So right now we would be in a spring hot still market. Gary really believes that we're going to see that kind of shake back out and trend back to where we're going to just feel seasonality. Yep, Tracy, like we have in the past, we just haven't in the last 3 years. Karen said, my last 3 transactions have been multi-generational buyers buying homes together because they have grown children, cannot afford. Yep, there you go. Yeah, it's definitely happening everywhere. So this is the mortgage rates annual sheet. This is the one that if you're in my offices, hopefully you have this printed and laminated and you're carrying this around to whip out of your back pocket. If you don't have it, you need to. because as I started in the very beginning of this Zoom, the reason you guys are on here is to get perspective to give to your clients. This sheet, when printed and used as a resource, gives your clients perspective. So as you can see, the historical average from 72 all the way to 21 rates were at this historical average is 7.81%. So people still bought houses. People bought at 16% in the early 80s, right? And then from 90 to 2021, 5.97 is the annual rates average. So if you look at the end of 22, 5.34, I mean, we're just under that. We've got to start making sure that our clients understand that we'll never see 3s and 4s again in our lifetime. That's actually Adam and I were talking this morning after I talked to my banker, saying at the 5.2, at the 5.25 commercial rate that we have on some of the rentals, when it's on a 5-year arm, because this was a new construction build. In 5 years from now, hopefully they'll be leveled out somewhere between 5 and 5.5, and it won't make that big of a difference compared to what we have right now. But that's, you never know. However, when you look at the statistics, if we can level out in the 5s, that's when people are going to feel good about it. Here's your mortgage rates monthly. So at the end of April of just this year, so April stats, they finished average right around 6.31 was the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate. So again, we really want to see that get somewhere around 5.5 and kind of stay there. It needs to steady out there for people to be able to consistently see that and then get back in the game. New home starts, we still have a lot of catching up to do with new construction homes. The research team at KWRI shared new construction should be alive and well for the next 3 to 4 years, still really strong. And there's so many homes. I can't remember the numbers. Shoot, it's like the only one I don't have memorized. I might have it right here in front of me. If any of you remember from the top 20%, you can put it in the chat that I shared with you. But we still are very behind on our, oh, you know what? I might have it on our new home starts. So the one thing you can do is bring new construction to the market, you guys. Nope, I don't have it. Sorry. Looking for builder. Nope, I do have it. Hold on. Or did somebody put it in the yeah, 1.3 million. I thought it was 1.5 million. No, we're 2.5. We're 2.5, found it. We're 2.5 million homes short that were never built. So new construction should be alive and well for a while. So Gary said the biggest opportunity for right now for a real estate agent is to bring real estate to the market by tracking land, tracking lots, talking to builders, talking to developers, any new construction stuff. Clearly me too. And I only taught that 4 times last week, so you would think I would remember it. Is your opportunity is bringing new construction. But here you can see in March, the 861,000 new home starts. And it's been about the same this year so far. So we'll see that. So, okay, so here's the risk to kind of round this out on the industry part before I move into the value piece on how to future-proof your business. Number one is US default on public debt. This would be a massive calamity and would have consequences extending throughout the US economy and likely beyond. Interest rates would spike as the likelihood of default increases. Even if default is short-lived, it would likely have lingering effects in the form of continued higher rates on US debt. Number two, further financial market turmoil. And you can kind of go through those. A third major bank failure occurred as First Republic Bank was taken over by JP Morgan, for those of you that did not know that. Largely a result of deposit outflows, which occurred during the failure of Silicon Valley Bank. So some of you guys, we've talked about this before, but people got nervous and they pulled their cash out. And when a lot of people do that on the same day, the banks are unable to recover. There are likely other secondary risks which may impact the economy. Non-bank entities also hold long-term bonds and are exposed to interest rate risk, but not subject to audits. So there are a couple of risks in that. So all in all, in the industry update portion of this, I just want you guys to have at least the perspective that you need to be able to talk with your clients and send them information. And remember too, don't just pass through this information to them. You really need to be interpreting it for them, because they have no idea what any of this means. It actually, majority of them don't. It actually reminds me, I've told the story before, but for years, I sent an email monthly that had the average stats to all of our clients. And one of them was the average DOM. Some of you heard me say this before. And after years, I finally had one lady respond and she's like, I read your emails every month, but I have no idea what DOM stands for. And I'm like, well, yeah, she doesn't know that that means days on the market because I didn't interpret it for her. I just passed it through. So just don't assume that your people actually, your clients and the people in your database actually know this stuff. We need to interpret it to the best that you can to them. Okay, so I want to switch gears. Oh, perfect. I'm right on time. And talk about future proofing your business. And I have two ways I'm going to share with you to do that today. And these came straight from Gary and the research team at KWRI. And I just love these. I've been reading through all of them. So the first one is with value and models. And so I want to share with you a one-pager sheet because if you know Gary, you know he loves everything on one page. And I think that's just genius. You don't need to over analyze things. I want to share with you the one page that he gave out at the top 100. And then I'm going to give you the scenarios that they walked through. Some of these are going to be, these are for really high producing GCI teams, but I want you to just get ideas and see how they've done this. So and we can send this out to you, but if you want to take a screenshot of it now, definitely do that. It's really simple. Here's what it is. At the top, you put, what is your value to customers? And then if you have a team, what's the value to your agents, your primary lead generation lever or levers, and then your org chart. And for some of you, your org chart may just be you. It may be you and your transaction company that you use. It may be you and an assistant. Or you may have, some of you I know have teams. So you have that I see on here. So I know you're going to have more on here. But I want you to think about actually printing this out and filling this out for your business. And we're going to get into the value part because to me, I think that is the number one thing that you can do. Increase the quantity of your touches and the quality of your touches to your database. And I'm going to show you kind of some proof and ideas on why. But first, here are 4 case studies that Gary shared. And I think these are great. And again, they're high GCI and volume, but I want you guys to put this into perspective because if they can do this, I know we can all do it. Anybody can do anything. So the first one is the Christian group. They closed 66 roughly million in volume last year. They had a GCI of 1.6 million and their net income, net after cost of sale and expenses, take home was before taxes was 533,000. So here's what their group, here's what their page looked like filled out, you guys. Their value to their customers. Number 1, level of care and attention to detail paid to each client's home and buying process. Get more money for your home using our home selling system, coming from contribution, always do the right thing, authenticity. So you can kind of read through the level of care and attention to detail that they do is the value that they provide is the value to their customers. Value that they provide their agents. Powerful community reputation. They have 35% market share in their area. Agents get all sign and buyer calls and support from listing, escrow, and client care coordinator. Their primary lead generation is geographical farming and past clients. So they're not buying any leads, or well, if they are, that's not their primary source, okay? It's just their geographical farming and their past clients. And you've got Dan as the rainmaker. He has a listing agent, a buyer's agent, and then they've got a listing coordinator, an escrow coordinator, and a client care coordinator. And that from 2022 was enabled them to close 66-ish million with 1.6 GCI and 533 net income. So that's example number 1. Here's example case study number 2. My good friend Ken Pozek. Many of you just heard him in our region, and I just think the world of Ken. I think he's so smart. So he closed 198 million in volume last year. They had almost 5.4 million in GCI, and his net was 1.9. Value to customers. Ken and his team know everything there is to know about Orlando, and they've created a media company specifically about Orlando to support his clients by being active and providing community information. If you don't know who Ken is, he's built his business on YouTube, and you definitely need to look him up on YouTube. The value that they give their agents, culture, they provide support through transaction coordination, etc., and productivity driven. They're big on scoreboards. Their Slack, it's kind of like a GroupMe app many of you have heard of or used. Production standards to get leads. So if they don't hit a certain number of production, they don't get the leads. Weekly office meeting, and he divides his people up into pods. Their primary lead generation lever is social media, and then relocation, and then number 3 is KW agent referrals. Last year, is it last year or this year? Hold on, I got it right here. last, maybe it's the last 2 years average. Anyway, 23% of in one of these years, it was either last year or the year before, 20, because Ken left KW and then came back roughly, I don't know, 7 months later, because he found out that his number 3 lead source was KW to KW agent referrals. 23% of his business came from KW agent referrals. And in a market where a lot of people are down year to date this year, he's up 18%. Yeah, they've had a great year. So you can also see on here his org chart. He's definitely got a lot, but most of this is his media company too. And then he's got 3 pod leaders with 5 to 8 agents in each one. So just so you can see that. Case study number 3 is the Rosie Rourke team. 118 million in volume last year, 1.8 million GCI, and she took home 838 net. Kind of the same thing, but I really want you guys to see just examples of these, because there's no better way to help you build out yours and just create your one pager. Their value to their customers is vision to create impactful relationships with everyone we touch by actively engaging with our community, finding the win-win, providing service that is second to none, protecting our clients' long-term wealth by helping them make wise decisions in their real estate transactions. And then she's got her mission on there. The value to their agents. You can see the value that she gives her agents. They have an 85 touch drip program, and so on and so on. Their primary lead gen lever is sphere of influence and past clients. So again, not any purchasing of leads on this one. And I think you'll see a familiarity with that. And then here is her org chart as well. Yes. Yep. We can, I think we can send them, but if we don't and you want them, just shoot me an email and Heather will get them over to you. So you can see Rosie's, which, yeah, because honestly, you guys, like, these are gold. I love that they're providing these one pagers because we don't have to go guess what everybody else is doing. I mean, they're obviously winning at a very high level, including the last one, which is the Stacy Salz Group, 182 million in volume last year, 2.7 GCI, and her net was 1.9. And then you can see the value to her customers here. So really understanding and being able to spell out the value. I love the last one. She said, we run towards the roar. We think outside the box. We never back down. And we always deliver for our clients and our team. She gives a lot of value to her agents on her team. You can see there her sphere, SOI again, is the primary lead gen. And then if you go back and look, so for that 2.7 GCI at 182 million, she is her as the rainmaker, and it looks like she's still calling, director of ops. So she has 4 on the admin side. She has a director of sales, and then she has 10 listing and buyer agents that are producing and bringing in the clients. So I love that you see the sphere of influence. You see sphere of influence in past clients. Ken obviously is a little different with the YouTube relocation and KW agent referral. And then you've got the past clients in the geographical farming. And these teams are just, they know, right? They've got their one pager down. They know what their value is. They know what it is to not only their clients, but the agents that are on their team. They know what their primary lead gen levers are, and they've got their org chart there too. If you have any questions on this, I'm happy to answer in the chat, but I just think that those are amazing. And it walks us right into future-proofing your business with your database in order to win big. So the one thing that you need to know and write down, especially as we move into a slower market, and you guys, the reality, and I keep telling our agents this too in my offices, if we don't fall off a cliff in September, great, you'll just be ahead of the game. If we do, then you'll be a little bit more prepared and you'll be in line, right? So there's 4 steps to assessing your database. And I'm gonna go through these, but you're gonna need to actually take time, not on this call. It's gonna take you longer to walk through and really determine do these 4 steps so that you can understand. But the first one is to do the math. And then you need to slow the spend. So nurturing the leads that you have and potentially slowing your lead generation expense. Because what we know is if you can increase the quantity and the quality of the touches in your database, which is number 3, increase the quality of your SOI touches, it will pay dividends. The ROI is always higher. The number of transactions closed is always higher. And then you just have to inspect what you expect. So again, I can send these, but also just feel free to take a screenshot so that you can do these activities yourself. But number one, this page shows you exactly how to do the math. So you need to figure out the total number of contacts in your database, excluding farming and data dumps. So really only counting real people. You'll figure out your lead cost multiplier, how much it would cost if you had to purchase those leads. And then you'll do an annual multiplier. This is how long your database will yield opportunities at the current rate for as long as you operate it. So when you have those numbers, what you're getting with this to the focus question is, are you really treating your business, your database, which is your business, like a cash asset that's worth blank? So for example, if you had 15,000 contacts in your database and you were paying roughly-ish $26 a lead, and you did a 3 multiplier, which is pretty normal, that would mean your database would be worth $1.1 million. So are you actually treating your database like it's worth $1.1 million? And would your calendar support that? Does the quantity and quality of touches support how much your database is actually worth? This is really an exercise that everybody needs to do. Then you determine your current total database conversion rate. So the total number of contacts, this one's easy, that you have in your database, excluding farms, and then you divide that by the number of transactions closed last year. So if you had 15,000 and you had 227 closings, you would have a 1.5% database conversion rate. Is it an acceptable conversion rate to you? Whatever yours turns out to be. These are easy numbers that you need to make sure that you're doing. If it includes SOI, past clients, contacts you've entered randomly, and leads you've purchased, the answer may be no. You can convert cold leads at between a 1% and a 3% conversion rate annually right now, according to NAR. It goes up a little bit, 5%, I think, if you have an ISA. And those are cold purchase leads. So really figuring out with your SOI, where are you at with conversion? Because it should be a lot higher than that number, realistically. This is water. I know some of you can't see, but I always get messages like, what are you drinking out of those big glass things? And then number 3, determine the total database financial opportunity. We walked through this in our Kentucky office, and it's just such a great exercise. The one that Jenny did for us was in much more detail, but the total number of contacts in your database, and then you times that by the conversion rate. And that's how many transactions that your database should actually be giving you per year. Now, before you do these yourself, these are eye-opening numbers. And it's not to like make you feel like crap. It's to give you a reality. Because if you don't know, then you're not going to be able to shoot for that, right? But this should kind of tell you where you're in alignment with what your goals should be. So last year, this team closed 221 units for 121 million, making their average sales price $550. They could be closing 600 units from this database. If getting more closings from their database was their sole focus, it would yield them another 379 closed units for an additional 208 million in volume. This says this team owner decided that this was the missing money needed to live their best life. They slowed the spin, increased the quality of their SOI touches, and inspected what they expected to get the results that they knew that they could. So it's just giving you a very real focus on what you should be focusing on with your database. And for those of you that really do this, you guys, I know it's going to pay off. This picture cracked me up of this dog. But then if you move into, which is what I keep preaching to y'all, increasing the quality of your touches and the frequency by which you're making them. So you have to increase the quality and the quantity, how many times you're touching them. Some of you honestly may need to triple the number of times that you're touching them. Like your first goal, if it is 36 and you aren't even doing a 36 touch, I would like to challenge you to figure out why you're not, because most of the top 100 are touching over 200 times annually now. A year. It's way more than what it used to be. So figuring out your touches. This was a really great example. I know this is kind of hard to see, but on these leaf bags, a lot of the top agents, some of you may have done this before, but instead of people just lining the sidewalks with the Home Depot and Lowe's bags, they've gotten branded ones so that all the neighborhood streets are lined with the leaf bags, right? Gary said, when we nail both levers, we are running amazingly powerful touch programs. When we miss on either, we diminish our results. The number of repeat and referral customers that we get to work with make up a large part of our compensation. And you can kind of go down here and see the question you need to ask yourself: of all the touches that I'm currently making, which are needed and useful and which are not? That would be like the one thing I would write down and take away from this today. Of all the touches that you're making, which are needed and useful and which are not? By removing the ones that do not fit into either category and replacing them with touches that do matter, our touch programs improve, and so do our conversion rates. So it's really figuring out how you can increase the quantity and how you can increase the quality. And then in closing, yay, I'm actually might end early today unless you guys have questions. So here are I've got four total pages, 2 slides of the sourced unique touches from Gary's Top Agent Mastermind. And these are just to spur some ideas for you. So what I don't want you to hear me say is you need to go out and implement all of these. I don't even think you need to implement 4 of these. Like, I think if you picked 1 a year and you went heavy on it, you went deep on it, you guys, it's going to make a huge, huge difference. But you can just look through here: spring home pictures, hosting a golf tournament. These shredding parties are huge. Junk removal, window cleaning, gutter cleaning, yard waste bags like we saw, ice cream trucks to the neighborhood, community block parties. This is ironic. If you look on the second page over here, you're going to see cameo touches. Adam just did this for one of his clients, and it was so cool. Cameo is this app, and I got on there and was messing around with it this weekend with Adam. It's an app that you can download, and you can search like any genre of sports or like athletes, actors. I mean, there's tons of people. There's like has-been celebrities on this app, and within 24 hours, they'll turn around and send you a video message. And so a lot of what they shared in the Top Mastermind is that they're getting those messages, and they're sending them to like clients on holidays and stuff like that. Well, Adam, I don't remember who the guy was, but one of his coaching clients had a video made for him of some big tennis guy. I can't remember his name. Adam would kill me for not knowing it, but on Adam's birthday, and he sent him a video, and it was like, Adam, it's so-and-so, I hear you're, big into tennis and your kids are tennis superstars. And I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday on behalf of so-and-so. He cares a lot about you. He's glad you're his coach, yada, yada. Well, then this guy is a huge Indy 500 fan. And so Adam, his birthday was this weekend. So Adam went on the Cameo app, and I can't remember this guy's name, but he's won the Indy 500 4 times. And for like $200, I think it was $150. I can't remember how much it was. But Adam typed out the script and sent it, and within 24 hours, this guy who had won the Indy 500 4 times and was getting ready to race in it this weekend sent back the video recorded message, and Adam sent it to his client for his birthday. Things like that, you guys. I mean, there are so many on here, but if you just look through these, and then here's the next last 2 pages. But anything, I mean, these are some great ideas. Even hand delivering coffee to 10 people from your sphere per month, and just send them a quick text asking what they like and drop it off to them. Pumpkin patch. Some of you have done that. I know. Parents' night out. Do it yourself. I saw goat yoga on here. I don't remember. Oh yeah, there it is at the top of the next page. Private goat yoga, because that's like in right now. But so many different things that you can do. This is upping the quality of an experience for your database. So if you can get the quantity up with all the other things, and you could up the quality and pick 2 of these a year and just go all in on it, that's slowing your spend instead of really speeding it up on necessarily online leads that convert at a much lower conversion rate than ones that come from your actual sphere and your repeat referral business. These are just great examples. So take screenshots of those. We'll send them to you. I'll try to put those in the next email. But if we just go back, actually, one second, let me click through. I just want to go back one more time. The one thing I really want you guys to pay attention to is the 2246. These are the numbers that you should have memorized, that you should know. This is when we line out as a country, as an economy. This is when things start to feel good again, is the 2246 number, and that 4 is appreciation, the real estate appreciation. But these are the ones that we really want to line out. And then the ones I want you guys to watch for yourself is tracking your home sales year over year, making sure that you're tracking the rates, that you're sending your rates out. And then the one opportunity is bringing land, lots, developers, new construction to the market. That is your opportunity. And as long as you are also increasing the quantity and quality of the touches of your database. That's it, you guys. That's what I got. And we ended early. I can't believe that. I thought I was going to go over today. Any questions before we go, since we have a couple minutes? Any thoughts, ahas? Talk about micro events? Yes, Patty. They do. A lot of them are doing a lot of micro events. A lot of our top agents have also switched to like maybe 1 to 2 large client events per year, and then they're micro eventing the others. Let's see, for niche members of their database, if so, do they have similar list? A lot of them are doing micro events on a smaller level. I don't know about the list, but I know the main reason is because they can actually touch their people or talk to their people. So for instance, you've got, you know, say Danny Barron, my friend in Cincinnati, Ohio, who's amazing, who had 2,000 people show up for his comedy night, a client and friends and family event. He lets them bring friends and family. So it's not just past clients, where unfortunately, you know, Danny's not getting to talk to all 2,000 people. So that's an experience for them. But if you're really wanting to be one-on-one, then he would, I think he does, do smaller micro events so that he can be closer to them. Any insight into the reasons why the real estate market is projected to, yeah, Karen, the main things that we talked about. Number one, if rates spike back into the 7 and 8s, which a lot of people are predicting. I did have I don't think I have this, or I would share it with you. I had an article. Nope, shoot. I think I'll have to try to find it. I had an article on that BRIC stuff, the BRIC, which is like British Columbia, Russia, India, China, and then like Saudi Arabia. I don't know, somebody who knows, if you know, type them in there. But the currency issue is a big thing. Spiking rates up, the student loan debt forbearance coming up is another really big one. And then truly just going back to like low inventory, creating more real estate seasonality like we used to see. Those are really the big 4 reasons why we could decline. Now, I will say, because Karen, I know you are in Columbus, and so are many of you on here. That doesn't necessarily mean everywhere in the country is going to feel that. Some areas are already feeling it. I mean, I can tell you guys in California, some of my friends there, I mean, they're having like minimal closings. I mean, 500 agents in an office. Yeah, Saudi Arabia. Thanks, Steph. They're having an office that has 500 agents, and they're having less than 20 closings a month. So certain areas are being a little bit more than, hit than others. Columbus, I kind of feel like maybe a little bit protected. So just it's going to be different based off of what area that you're in. And you're exactly right. A bit of a shift will help your buyers find homes, which is good. For investors, is it good to wait till September for the cliff? Funny you asked that, Chris, because they asked that in our mastermind. We talked a little bit about that. And Gary's answer was, when it's a good deal, it's a good deal. Like investors don't plan the market. Like they don't wait to buy at a low and sell at a high. They buy whenever there's a good deal, and they ride it out, and they're even kill all the way across. So I don't necessarily know, because honestly, the rates could be higher then. So maybe if you're an investor and you got a bunch of cash stockpiled, but I think when it's a good deal, it's a good deal. I don't personally think that there's a better time or a worse time, unless, like I said, you've got a bunch of cash and you aren't messing with the rates. Because if prices go down, but rates are higher and you're financing, it's kind of the same deal. All right, guys. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on. Hope you learned something. Have an awesome rest of your week. And yep, Abby put the link for the YouTube in there. We have some amazing June classes coming out, you guys. So stay tuned for those. We'll be sending those email. We've got so many really, really good ones. I think we've got, I don't have my paper in front of me, but I think we've got some good ones in June. So have a great day. See you guys. Thanks. Bye. Go work on your database.